There are places on this planet that have been wiped off the map for you. It doesn't matter if you've got deep pockets or high-up connections. If you try to set foot there, you're looking at a fatal end or a life sentence. From vaults guarding the end of the world to islands where civilization just flat out stopped in time, today I'm showing you the most forbidden spots on Earth and what they're hiding inside. I guarantee number one is gonna make you question who's really calling the shots in the world. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next mysteries, and hit me up in the comments. What city are you watching from? Let's get into it, folks. Eight. The Doomsday Vault in Svalbard. Have you ever stopped to think that almost everything we eat depends on just a handful of plant varieties? It's a huge gamble. See, the world of agriculture is dominated by a few select types that producers hand-picked. Just to give you an idea, there was a very famous banana that vanished from the map around 1950 because of an incurable disease. That banana we eat today, the Cavendish, is only here because it's hardier, even though a lot of people say the taste doesn't even come close to the old one. Sticking to this habit of planting only the same varieties is way too dangerous for our survival. If a mutant fungus showed up today and decided to go after corn or wheat, we'd be starving in a matter of months. It's a real-life horror movie scenario. To keep humanity from ending up empty-handed, they created seed banks, and the big daddy of them all is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. It is literally our last line of defense against the end of the world. Imagine a vault built inside a frozen mountain on the remote island of Spitsbergen, way up in Norway. It's so isolated that the natural security is already insane. The Norwegian government handles everything like it's a genetic deposit bank. Whoever stores the seeds there still owns them, but the vault guarantees nothing happens to them. With space for 42 million samples, it can protect almost every variety of agricultural crops we know. The security at this place is next level. Besides being in the middle of nowhere, the seeds are stored about 152 meters deep, carved into solid rock. The wildest part is that even if the entire planet's power grid went down right now, the temperature inside that sandstone mountain would stay stable for weeks, sitting around -3 degrees Celsius. It's the kind of place where you lock up the future of civilization and sleep tight, knowing it's well guarded. It's trippy to think that our lunch depends on a chilly vault at the edge of the world. This place is proof that nature needs a backup. 7. The Lascaux Caves. Imagine stepping into a place that's been untouched for more than 17,000 years. The Lascaux Caves in the Dordogne region of France are what you'd call the most exclusive art museum in the world. The level of detail and the realistic perspective of the paintings put this place at the top of everything ever discovered about prehistoric art. It all started in 1940, when some local teenagers stumbled upon the entrance and came face to face with a mesmerizing world decorated with about 2,000 painted figures. Millennia of isolation preserved the vibrant colors of the mineral pigments in an unbelievable way, showing animals, people, and mysterious symbols that still challenge our imagination today. This cave is part of the Weser Valley, which has the highest concentration of Upper Paleolithic sites in Western Europe, but Lascaux is the crown jewel because of the scale and quality of the paintings. There's a section called the Hall of the Bulls that's absolutely jaw-dropping, featuring 4 massive black bulls. One of them is simply the largest animal ever discovered in cave art, measuring an impressive 5 meters and 18 centimeters long. What really trips researchers up is how those artists managed to convey a sense of movement. You see herds of horses running, bulls charging, and the elegance of felines and bison. It's the kind of technique we wouldn't see again until the Renaissance, thousands of years later. One very curious thing is that even though reindeer were the main prey back then, they barely show up in the paintings. There are no plants or landscapes either. This leads some researchers to believe the paintings might actually be an ancient star map, hiding constellations within the lines of the animals. Unfortunately, we can't visit this place in person anymore. The cave was closed to the public in 1963 because the breath and sweat of more than 1,500 visitors a day were creating mold and fungi that were destroying the paintings. Today, the site is sealed, and only one person at a time can go in, strictly for monitoring. It's fascinating how the simple act of breathing near these paintings can wipe out thousands of years of history in the blink of an eye. 6. North Brother Island. You know that saying that some places just carry a heavy vibe? Well, North Brother Island is the textbook definition of that. Located right there in the East River between the Bronx and Rikers Island in New York, this island holds a story that's a mix of a quarantine hospital and a thriller movie set. It all started in 1885, when the city bought the land to build Riverside Hospital. The goal was pretty blunt and a bit scary: to isolate people with contagious diseases like typhus, tuberculosis, yellow fever, and smallpox. It was basically the place they sent you when nobody else could get near you. The most famous resident there was the iconic Typhoid Mary, or Mary Mallon. She was the first asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever identified in the United States. The problem was that Mary worked as a cook and, without knowing, or without believing it, ended up spreading the disease to 8 different families in 1907. Even though she seemed to be in perfect health, she carried the bacteria. She was even released in 1910 on the condition that she'd never go near a kitchen again, but her stubbornness won out. She went back to cooking, infected another 25 people in a hospital, and ended up spending the rest of her life confined to the island until she died in 1938, swearing she was the victim of an injustice. As if the disease drama wasn't enough, the island was the site of a bizarre tragedy in 1905. A steamboat called the General Slocum caught fire right nearby, and more than 1,000 people lost their lives. It was New York's deadliest disaster until the September 11th attacks. After World War II, they tried to use the place to house veterans and even as a rehab center, but nothing stuck. In 1963, the doors closed for good. Today, the island is a bird sanctuary, especially for black-crowned night herons, and access is strictly forbidden for humans. Nature has taken over the ruins, and nobody wants to risk what's left over there. It seems the island finally found peace as a bird's nest, far away from the mess and tragedies of human beings. 5. The Korean Demilitarized Zone. You know that place where the tension is so thick nobody dares to make a wrong move? Well, the Korean Demilitarized Zone, or just the DMZ, is exactly like that. It cuts the Korean peninsula in half, right near the 38th parallel north, serving as a buffer between North Korea and South Korea since 1953. We're talking about a strip of land 249 kilometers long and about 4 kilometers wide. The official goal is to be a buffer zone to keep the two countries from going at it, but the history there is full of incidents, both military and civilian, that have unfortunately cost many lives on both sides. Inside this zone, there's a spot called the Joint Security Area, which is where people meet up to negotiate. There's even a famous bridge called the Bridge of No Return, which was used for prisoner exchanges. Imagine the dramatic scene of crossing that bridge knowing there's no turning back. In 2018, there was an effort to remove landmines and explosives from some parts, which actually revealed human remains from the Korean War. It's a place that breathes history and tension in every square inch, but ironically, it ended up becoming a paradise for nature. Since almost no human has set foot there for over 70 years because of the danger, the DMZ has turned into an accidental park. Today, it's one of the most preserved temperate habitats in the world. Believe it or not, between electrified fences and minefields, more than 6,000 species of plants and animals live there, including 100 endangered species. It's got everything, from the red-crowned crane to the Asiatic black bear, and some say even the ultra-rare Siberian tiger and the snow leopard show their faces there. Ecologists have cataloged nearly 3,000 types of plants and 70 types of mammals. It's proof that when humans back off, life sprouts even in the middle of a war zone. It's mind-blowing how one of the most dangerous places for humans became the safest place in the world for animals. 4. The Greenbrier Resort. Imagine a super exclusive luxury hotel, frequented by 26 US presidents and European royalty since 1778. That's the Greenbrier in West Virginia, just 5 hours from Washington. But what nobody imagined was that, behind all that America's resort glamour, there was a secret buried deep underground. Literally. At the end of the 1950s, the US government built what was called Project Greek Island there. It was a massive bunker made to house the entire United States Congress in case the world ended in a nuclear war. At the height of the atomic age, the fear of being wiped off the map was so real that they created this hideout to ensure the government kept running no matter the cost. The whole thing was so hush-hush that the vast majority of the politicians themselves had no clue there was a luxury hole waiting for them right under their feet. Only a handful of people knew the truth. Construction took more than 2 years, and to keep anyone from getting suspicious, the government told everyone they were just building a new space for exhibits and conferences. Even the company that supplied the concrete was kept in the dark. The bunker was reinforced with 60-centimeter thick walls of pure concrete and a layer of steel, all buried 6 meters deep. And it wasn't just a hole in the ground, it had a super advanced air filtration system to block any radiation left outside. Inside, the setup was straight out of a movie. Special meeting rooms for the Senate and the House, with chairs, mics, and even a TV studio for the president to talk to whoever was left post-disaster. But the luxury ended at bedtime. The sleeping quarters were metal bunks, straight military style, one for each congressperson. To keep everything running without raising eyebrows, government employees lived at the resort disguised as TV technicians. The hotel staff even thought it was weird because these techs never seemed to be fixing the TVs in the rooms, but nobody dared to ask too many questions. Luckily, the bomb never dropped, and the secret was only revealed decades later. It's a head-scratcher to think that while the rich and famous were sipping champagne in the ballroom, there was an army of fake technicians looking after metal bunks in the basement. 3. North Sentinel Island. You know that spot on the map where GPS just doesn't go and Google Street View wouldn't even try? North Sentinel Island is exactly like that. Located in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal, this island is the ultimate symbol of isolation on the planet. It's strategically located about 482 kilometers from the coast of Myanmar and more than 1,100 kilometers from India. What makes this piece of land so special and dangerous is the Sentinelese tribe. They've lived there for thousands of years and have made it crystal clear they don't want to talk to anyone. Anyone who tries to get near the beach is greeted with a rain of arrows, whether it's a fishing boat or even a Navy ship. The first serious attempt at contact happened in 1967, when Indian anthropologists decided it was time to try a peaceful friendship. When they arrived, the beach was deserted, which made everyone think the natives had sensed the visit and hidden in the thick jungle. The expedition leader, a man named Triloknath Pandit, said they followed footprints into the jungle until they found a village. The huts were very well built and still had fires burning and remains of roasted fish and fruit, which meant they had just bolted. They estimated the local population was about 40 to 50 people. To try and win the tribe's trust, the researchers left gifts like coconuts, iron bars, and plastic utensils on the sand. They really wanted to build a good relationship, but the attempts that followed in the 70s and 80s were a total train wreck. Instead of thanks, the visitors were met with extreme aggression and ended up chased off by arrows every single time. Nowadays, the Indian government has banned anyone from getting within 9 kilometers of the island, both to protect curious outsiders and to prevent common diseases from wiping out the tribe, since they have zero immunity. It's fascinating to think that in the 21st century, there's a people who decided the rest of the world just isn't worth it. 2. ADX Florence. Hidden somewhere in the arid foothills of the Rocky Mountains, just a 2-hour drive from Denver, sits what we can call the pinnacle of maximum security in the United States. The United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility, better known as ADX, is the country's only federal supermax prison. The place was designed specifically to house the most dangerous criminals and escape artists in the entire prison system. Inside, you'll find nearly 400 inmates, including sinister figures like the Kingpin El Chapo and the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. Unlike other prisons where solitary is a temporary punishment, at ADX, isolation is the default for everyone, which earned the place the lovely nickname Alcatraz of the Rockies. The routine inside is enough to make your throat tighten with claustrophobia. Inmates spend 23 hours a day confined to tiny cells measuring 2 meters and 13 centimeters by 3 meters and 65 centimeters. Meals come through a slot in the door, and the only contact with the outside world is a narrow window that only lets you see a tiny slice of empty sky. This is done on purpose, so nobody can memorize the prison layout or know which wing they're in. In the rare 10 hours a week they can leave their cell, they stay isolated in individual cages. And don't think it's a free stroll. They head out with hands and feet shackled to a waist belt, often with their hands locked in a black security box. The structure is almost entirely poured concrete. The table, the bench, and even the bed are solid blocks. Everything is designed to prevent trouble. The toilet shuts off if it gets clogged, the shower is on a timer so nothing floods, and the mirror is polished steel so nobody can break it and make a weapon. Despite having a TV with educational channels and even Netflix content, the control is absolute. There are 1,400 remotely controlled steel doors, motion sensors, and cameras everywhere. If someone even tries to run, a panic button seals every door instantly. Outside, 4-meter fences with razor wire and pressure sensors ensure nobody gets in, and especially that nobody ever leaves without authorization. It's the kind of place where silence and concrete are your only companions for the rest of your life. A fortress built to make you forget the outside world even exists. 1. Diego Garcia. In the heart of the Indian Ocean, there's a military fortress that looks like it came straight out of a spy novel, the island of Diego Garcia. It's a strategic U.S. base that serves as a literal springboard for massive military operations. The place is so isolated and shrouded in mystery that over the years, it's become a breeding ground for all sorts of conspiracy theories. The official story says it was discovered by the Portuguese in the early 16th century, but it only showed up with the name Diego Garcia on a map from 1599. After that, the island just sat there, quiet and uninhabited for over 200 years until things started heating up in the 1960s. In 1965, the territory was established, and shortly after, the British and American governments signed a deal that would change everything. They decided to build a naval communications station to support ships and planes operating in the Indian Ocean. In just 2 years, the US had already set up a permanent base. And by the 80s, the place was a full-on naval support facility, nicknamed the Footprint of Freedom. Today, thousands of US troops live there, making sure Allied forces have everything they need in that part of the world. It's an impressive war machine hidden in the middle of the infinite blue. Security and secrecy are taken so seriously that life there is full of strict rules. For example, it's forbidden for military couples or Department of Defense employees to work together on the island at the same time. Usually, the tour of duty is 1 year, but some civilians end up staying for as long as 15 years. Since access is extremely restricted and nobody gets in without heavy-duty clearance, the aura of mystery only grows. Diego Garcia remains a symbol of military power, protected by layers upon layers of security and protocols that stop any curious soul from knowing what's really going on behind those fences. It's fascinating to think there's an entire military city running on an island where almost nobody's allowed to step foot. Which of these forbidden spots surprised you the most? And do you think they should stay hidden forever? I want to hear your theories in the comments, and don't forget to type your city, leave a like, and subscribe with notifications on. More mysteries are popping up on your screen right now, so click 1 to keep watching. See you in the next video.